What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and guys, I am so excited because I get to talk about one of my all-time favorite monster creature features, shark movies of all time, and that is Jaws 2, the 45th anniversary 4K edition released by Universal on July the 4th. So I got this slipcover edition right here. I just couldn't resist. You know, I love just the traditional artwork of Jaws 2. And I also got the Steelbook edition as well, which we'll do a little unboxing towards the end of this video. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to get this or not, so I did pre-order the slipcover, but the night before this came out, it showed up for pre-order on the Best Buy website. So I went ahead and pre-ordered it and drove up there on 4th of July morning and picked this sucker up. So extremely happy to have this Steelbook. But yeah, Jaws 2, guys, we're gonna get into it. I feel like Jaws 2 is so unfairly criticized. It's so underrated because everybody wants to compare it to the OG, to the greatest, one of the greatest movies of all time, to be honest. And that's not very fair because it's a sequel to, like I said, one of the greatest movies of all time. And of course, it's not as good as the original Jaws, but I think it does have a lot of merit on its own that we'll get into. We're going to talk about the movie. We're going to talk about the 4K picture quality. We're going to talk about the audio, the special features, and like I said, I'll do a little quick unboxing. But before we get into it, like, comment, subscribe. We talk about physical media here on this channel every single day. So if you like that kind of thing, hit the subscribe button. You know, let me know what you think of Jaws 2 in the comment section below. I do feel like and I'm not trying to call anybody out, that, especially that's watching this video. I'm sure there's tons of Jaws 2 fans out there, but I feel like before this was announced, like every time somebody brought up Jaws 2, I brought up Jaws 2, like it was always like, that movie sucks. Every single Jaws sequel sucks. The only good one is the first one. I feel like I heard that all over the place. And then when this was announced, and then of course when it came out, I'm seeing everybody show it off. I'm seeing everybody excited about it. I'm seeing everybody wanting to pick this sucker up. And it's like, what the hell? It's like, I thought everybody didn't like this movie. I was like one of the only people that did like this movie. I always stuck up for this movie. So I do think that that's kind of funny. Let me know what your thoughts are on the Jaws 2. Did you just pick it up because, do you like the movie? Did you just pick it up because it's a part of the franchise? Let me know that in the comment section below. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I want to talk about the movie briefly. So I grew up with the Jaws films. I watched all 4 of the Jaws films all the time when I was a kid. And Jaws 2 was actually the one that I feel like, this one and the third one actually, I think were the ones that I watched the most. And when this one was announced, like it gave me hope that, oh man, we could get Jaws 3. We could get Jaws the Revenge. I know nobody likes that one, but I want to see it on 4K. I want all these movies on 4K. So I was very excited when this was announced because I honestly thought that Universal was just going to do the first one and they were going to forget about the sequel. So I'm extremely happy that they announced and released this, and I'm hoping that we get Jaws 3 on 4K at some point. And of course, The Revenge. Again, I know that everybody hates that. I'll be interested to see how many people pick that one up when it comes out on 4K. But yeah, very excited to have this one. I watched this one all the time as a kid, and the third one, I loved them both. Of course, I loved the original as well, but it was just, to me, this was the one that as a kid, it just wasn't as rewatchable as the sequels. I just love the sequels. I love the shark coming back. I love the kind of summer camp slasher feel of it. Like I was just getting into the Friday the 13th films when I started watching this movie, the Halloween films. So this one just kind of reminded me of that like summer camp slasher, maybe that slasher horror film, because of the whole aspect of the kids going out sailing and they're kind of getting picked off one by one, which to be honest kind of just takes place in the last 50 minutes of this movie. There's a lot of stuff that happens before that in the first hour, but this one definitely tries to go bigger. It shows the shark from the beginning of the movie. You know, there's no, the thing about this movie is I think it's really good. I think it is still very impactful when you see that shark, but it's definitely not as impactful as in the first Jaws movie because there's so much buildup, there's so much tension, there's so much suspense as to like, what does this shark look like? What is this going to look like when we finally see it? And in this movie, you kind of see it all throughout the movie. So it lacks that tension building aspect that the first one had and did so well. So, but this one does try to go bigger. There's more like bigger like set piece moments throughout this film. There's a scene with the shark and a helicopter that I just think is one of the best in the entire franchise. It's completely ridiculous, but I love it every time I see it. So yeah, I would say, guys, if you are on the fence about picking this one up, because I've been hearing from a lot of people that they've never even seen any of the Jaws sequels. And I would definitely recommend that you pick this one up, even if you don't, like, maybe I can't recommend Jaws 3D. I love Jaws 3D. Maybe I can't recommend The Revenge, but I do think this is actually a really good, legitimate movie. It brings back Roy Scheider's character of Chief Brody, so he's in the film. A lot of the characters, the mayor returns in this movie. His wife is in this movie. Of course, she's in The Revenge as well. The kids are grown up, so they're both played by different actors. But it brings back pretty much every main character from the first one except for Richard Dreyfuss, who is not in this movie. But I think so it feels like it plays in the same universe. It feels very in line with the first movie. It feels like a very natural transition from the first movie for sure. You know, you're in this town, the town's getting attacked by the shark. Chief Brody's like, look, I know what this is. I've been there before. He's trying to warn everybody again. Nobody's believing him until the crap really hits the fan. Even though I would argue that the crap hit the fan about 3 or 4 times and everybody just continued to ignore it, which is kind of a little bit ridiculous. Considering what happened in the first movie, I would think they'd be more apt to believe him this time around, I guess. But it's a really good movie. Like I said, it has that summer camp slasher feel to it, and it is a little bit ridiculous. Oh, another shark's coming back 4 years later to take its revenge on this town. But I think it's so good, and it's got some great like set piece moments, some good kills in it, and it's a whole lot of fun. Now getting into the 4K picture quality here, and I want to talk about the first Jaws film real quick, because I bought this back in 2020, but I cannot remember if I actually sat down and watched this 4K in its entirety when I bought this 4K back in 2020, because I had watched the film. Jaws is not a movie that I watch every single year. It's one I watch probably like every 3 or 4 years. So I had watched this movie like right before it got announced for 4K. So when this 4K came out, I popped it in, I checked out the visual quality on it. But to be honest, like back then, I didn't have the TV that I have now. I didn't have the setup that I have now. So I don't feel like I got to enjoy this like I should have in 4K. So I rewatched this on 4K on the 4th of July, and my God, does this transfer look good. It is so beautiful. I was like, oh my God, this looks so amazing because I got the LG OLED TV C2 and I got the proper setup now, and this movie really shines in 4K, looks excellent. So when I went into watching Jaws 2 right after it, because I did a double feature, and watching this movie right after, comparing it to the first one, I will say that it is very close in terms of picture quality as the first one. I think it looks almost just as good. Now, this does not have Dolby Vision, whereas the first one had Dolby Vision. They actually, it feels like they cut some corners with this one, which I'm not as happy about. We'll talk about that again when we get to the sound portion. It feels like they just went all in on the first one and cut a few corners with this one. Again, not including the Dolby Vision. It does have HDR10. It is a native 4K transfer. I think it looks excellent. Like the clarity throughout this movie, it's very much in line with the first one. It looks great, like when they're out on the boats and the water just looks so great in 4K, and everybody on the boats and the backgrounds and the facial detail and definition is all in line with the first one. Looks just as good in my opinion. Now, one thing I will say is I don't know if it has to do with the color timing or something like that. It's been a while since I've seen Jaws 2 on Blu-ray. I do have the Blu-ray, but it's been a while since I've seen it. It is a little bit, the colors are a little warmer in this one, where I feel like the colors are a little cooler in the first Jaws. I don't know. This one feels like it's almost taking place like in a sunset or on a sunrise, like all throughout the film. It just has that kind of sun-drenched look to it, a little bit more than the first one did. I don't know if that was just me, but watching these two back to back, that's the big thing that I noticed the most. But the clarity is there, guys. It looks excellent. It is very much in line with the first Jaws movie. If you watch Jaws on 4K and then you go to watch this one on 4K, you're going to be extremely happy with the picture quality. Just some standout moments in 4K. The actual shark itself with that burnt look on his face because he gets burnt halfway through the movie looks excellent in 4K. That when there's blood and stuff happens, when some people are getting taken out, all that stuff looks great in 4K. But the water, I cannot overemphasize just how great the water looks. Like when they do those shots of like the water and the waves kind of flowing up and down, and just the look of it, the color of it, and the way that you can see it move and the ripples, it just all looks incredible in 4K. So Jaws 2 on 4K is an absolute winner in my opinion. Now, does it look as good as the first one? No, it does not. But again, it lacks that Dolby Vision. I think it's pretty damn close. So I think they did it. I think they did a really good job. Universal, like, they know how important the Jaws films are to people. They know how important the Universal monsters. Like, I can criticize Universal for a number of things, but when they do a restoration, they do it right. Like they did it with the Jaws movies, they did it with the Universal Monster movies, the Alfred Hitchcock movies, all of that stuff, all the Universal classic properties that they've done in 4K have all looked excellent. So let's go ahead and jump into the sound. And this is where I'm gonna have a little bit of an issue. So they did Dolby Atmos on the first Jaws, and it sounded incredible with that John Williams score and just everything that happens in that movie, the water just being out there. You can just hear the water, like I feel like around you, the boats revving up and roaring through the water. Like it sounded excellent in Dolby Atmos. This did not have a sound upgrade at all. It has the DTS HD Master Audio 2.0, and that's it. And it has Spanish, French, German, all in the 2.0 mono. So there was no sound upgrade here at all. They didn't go to 5.1. They didn't go to Dolby Atmos. So I have no idea what was involved in the decision-making process with this movie and the sound, but for whatever reason, they did not upgrade the sound. Now, I will say, watching this, it sounded great. The 2.0 sounded great. The movie sounded great. I heard the score. Of course, John Williams came back to do the score in this one. The score sounded wonderful. It just didn't have that little extra oomph that the first one did. And that's what I'm talking about. They went all in on the first one. And then with this one, it feels like this is still a great release, guys. I'm not trying to take away from this release, but it felt like they cut a few corners here and there, and they didn't put everything into this movie that they could have. So I'm a little bit disappointed with the fact that they didn't include the Vision, the Dolby Vision, and they didn't include Dolby Atmos here. Did it need Dolby Atmos? I don't know. I think that the first one sounded great, so I think it kind of did. But you know, they could have at least done a 5.1, but to still keep that 2.0, again, it sounded really good, but it could have sounded better. So I was a little bit disappointed with that. Now, getting into the special features real quick before we get into the unboxing, there is absolutely nothing new here whatsoever. All the special features that are included on this are included on this Blu-ray release from, I think this came out like 2011 or 2012. I could be wrong on that, but all the special features are the same. They did nothing new here, which again, I'll continue to hammer this home. I'll continue to complain about this. It's the 45th anniversary. Can we do something new? Can we get somebody? Now, I will say there is this incredible YouTube channel called The Daily Jaws, and they've been doing tons of interviews with the cast and the crew, and even the former director of this movie. This movie actually had a different director for a year before they brought in Jeanette Swark, who is the official director of this movie. They had a completely different director, so they have an interview with him, and they have tons of interviews for the 45th anniversary on this YouTube channel, The Daily Jaws, of the cast and crew. Just tons of people coming back to talk about this movie. So if you want some special features for Jaws 2, go to the channel, The Daily Jaws. I'll try to link that down below in the description, and check out all these incredible interviews for Jaws 2 for the 45th anniversary. So my point is, if a YouTube channel that I think has like 12,000 subscribers can get all of these special feature interviews, why can't Universal do the same thing? I'm not even asking for like 11 interviews, which is on that channel. Like I'm just asking for like 2 or 3. Like if a YouTube channel with 12,000 subscribers can get all of these interviews, why can Universal do that? It doesn't make any sense. It's mind-boggling to me. But I will say, guys, I'm not trying to complain. This is actually a really great release. $21.99 is the price for the standard 4K, and I do think that the price reflects what you get here. They're not charging like an astronomical amount. Like, I complained about Vacation a little bit because they only included the 4K, no new special features, and it was like $26.99 when it came out. This is $21.99. You get the 4K, you get the Blu-ray, you get the digital code as well, and it does have a really good amount of special features. It's not like they took anything out like they did with Vacation. It has all the same features. You have a making of Jaws. You have Jaws 2, a portrait by actor Keith Gordon, which I didn't even know Keith Gordon was in this movie. I love Keith Gordon from Christine, of course, but back when I watched this as a kid, and even when I watched it since, like, I just never really made that connection. But yeah, Keith Gordon is in this movie. But yeah, tons of John Williams, the music of Jaws, tons of great features here. If you don't have this Blu-ray, like, you're gonna enjoy watching these features for the first time. But it's just the fact that it's just the principle, nothing new. It's the 45th anniversary, and a YouTube channel can get 11 new interviews, or 12, or whatever, how many they got, and Universal can't get any. It's just kind of ridiculous to me. So let's go ahead and jump into the unboxing of this 4K Steelbook release right here. And I'm just in love with the artwork here, because if you look at the poster right here, the classic poster for Jaws 2, and then you see what they did, what they did is they basically flipped the image, and you're looking at the skier from the perspective of the shark. You have the shark right behind her with the mouth open, and in this one you have the mouth open, you know, coming up behind the skier. So you get to see the backside of the skier with the yellow bikini, and I just think it looks so freaking good in the boat. It looks, I absolutely love the design of this steelbook right here. And then you flip it around, and on the back you have the shark fin in the water, and I just think it looks beautiful. It's a nice matte finish, and it's just absolutely fantastic. I'm going to show off the spine right there so you guys can see it. Bam, and then we'll open it up, and like I said, you get a digital code here. And right there you got two discs. You got the 4K and you got the Blu-ray. You got some good artwork on the back, or just an image right here on the back of Chief Brody. Just some good stuff. And yeah, I love that scene on the beach too, where he shoots the gun, and he's clearly showing some PTSD. So there's a lot of good character work in this movie, kind of like post-traumatic stress of Chief Brody in this movie. I think the movie actually handles really well. So just a great steelbook all around, and guys, just a great release all around. I know I complained about some things, but I would absolutely recommend that you get Jaws 2 on 4K. It looks significantly better than the Blu-ray. Like, the Blu-ray doesn't have anything on this release. It looks excellent. I think they could have done it a little bit better if they added in the Dolby Vision, if they added in the Dolby Atmos. I think they cut a few corners that they shouldn't. This release could have been one of the best of the year, up there in like the top 5, and instead it's maybe top 15 of the year. I think still a really solid release from Universal. I definitely enjoyed it. So thank y'all so much for checking out my review of Jaws 2 on 4K. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, comment down below your thoughts on the movie and whether or not you're going to pick up this 4K release. I will link it down below. I'll link the steelbook if it's still available, and I will also link the regular 4K down below in the description. So turn on those bell notifications and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are down below in the description, and we'll see you next time.